We've been told that in order to make our dreams come true, we have to work hard for it. We have to create it from scratch. I say that's absolute bullshit. That's not really how it works. Reality is way more flexible than we think because the truth is, there appears to be an infinite field of information where every possible version of our life already exists.
This observer, who was brought into existence by the universe, has, by his acts of observation, a part in bringing that universe itself into being.
This means we never truly start from scratch, and we just shift our awareness to different points in this field. When I accepted a job offer, married my dream partner, moved somewhere rural, that version already existed before it even happened. I didn't just imagine it, I tuned into it. This is something called the alternative space from the context of reality transurfing. Alternative space is where every possible version of your life already exists right now. So, let's explore this further. According to reality transurfing, where practical philosophy meets quantum physics, alternative space is a real field, a vast invisible structure that contains every possible version of reality already laid out like television channels. Each channel shows a different version of our life story. So in one channel, I'm an engineer. In another, I'm an artist. In this current channel, I'm a YouTuber. Each channel shows a different version of my life story. So these versions weren't created from scratch. They were tuned into based on my energy and attention. Back when I was a college student and summer break was around the corner, a random email popped up stating that my school's engineering and science department had open positions for a paid summer research internship. The program had a GPA cutoff of 3.5 minimum. My GPA was at a 2.6. I had no intentions or desire to secure this internship. But it did fascinate me because the research combined nature and engineering, where you mimic nature's design to solve human problems. This is called biomimetics. An example of biomimetics is how an Olympic swimmer has a swimsuit that is designed to mimic the texture of a shark's skin for optimized swimming. But anyway, I didn't care about the GPA cutoff, so I sent an email to the professor who is head of the program to schedule a meeting with him so I can learn more about his research. Listen, I didn't know anything about alternative space back then. At the time, I was unknowingly tuning into a channel where I was a curious research scientist. And this all felt supernatural. With no expectations, I got an email back and was able to meet with the professor. Shout out Dr. Sean. Prior to meeting him, I looked up his past research projects that were so cool to me so then I could come up with real, genuine questions. I was full of excitement during our meetings. I had all these questions and ideas firing at him. Then at the end of the meeting, he goes, "Have you considered applying for my summer research program?" And I tell him, "Yes, but I do not meet the GPA cutoff." And he goes, "Apply anyway." And so I did. A few weeks later, I got an email stating that I got accepted. I was so shocked, I cried. Dude, my GPA was 2.6. Out of thousands of applicants around the world, I got selected. Probably my most memorable achievement during my college days. Alright, let's keep exploring alternative space from different perspectives, starting with physics. According to physicist Hugh Everett, his theory on many worlds interpretation suggests that there are multiple worlds that exist in parallel at the same space and time as our own. So when it comes to measuring something tiny like a particle, instead, the universe splits into parallel versions, aka there are multiple copies of us living in multiple worlds. We don't land in universes by accident. We align with them by thought, energy, and emotion. In Hinduism, karma is the principle of cause and effect. Every action we take, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, plants a seed that will bear fruit in this life or another. Karma doesn't mean punishment. It simply means vibrational alignment with life paths. So stepping into a destiny that is based on our energy, not our worth. Each karmic seed exists in potential, much like alternative realities in alternative space. Both hold potential futures that can manifest based on our energy, attention, and choices. Now, if you're someone like me who struggles with intrusive thoughts, do not worry, because it's not the end of the world for us when an unpleasant thought randomly pops into our heads. They are sudden, involuntary thoughts which are different from deliberate, focused thoughts. Using spiritual ideas to avoid dealing with painful emotions is not true healing, okay? It's spiritual bypassing, and I do not encourage forcing ourselves to think positively all the time. In Christianity, the Bible verse Proverbs 23:7 illustrates the importance of thinking with heart. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. This means we attract a reality that matches our inner beliefs and emotional state. This verse also cautions anyone who accepts anything from someone who is stingy or has ulterior motives. Say if someone invites me to eat and drink, if their heart does not match their words, they are either doing it begrudgingly or have an expectation of getting repaid. This kind of energy puts me in a state of debt, which is overall a very murky experience for my spirit. When our energy, feelings, and inner thoughts do not match our action, this causes a disruption when tuning into the channel we want. True belief doesn't just happen mentally, it goes way beyond that. When our thoughts, feelings, and actions are in full alignment, we start to tune into the reality we want to experience. So when I secured that summer research program, I first had a thought of learning more about biomimetics and seeing myself as a research scientist in this field. Then the feeling of excitement, and finally taking the action of crafting the email to meet with the professor. Alternative space teaches that we shift our reality through alignment. However, I do understand that there are cases of extreme suffering like poverty, war, or being held in captivity. The idea of alternative space is not about blaming individuals who are in these circumstances. Their free will is severely limited by external forces beyond their control. When life is really hard, accessing alternative space has the capacity to help us stay mentally strong through small changes in our perception. This is different from harmful advice that tells you to just think positive or love yourself when you're in a really, really dark place. Even in unpleasant circumstances, I believe that there is a possibility to shift into a state of inner clarity, hope, or detachment, and make it through terrible conditions. Take Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust and discovered that even when everything was taken away, the love of his life, his possessions, and his dignity, he preserved the fundamental freedom to choose his response to suffering. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl observed that prisoners who maintained a sense of purpose and meaning had better chances of survival than those who lost hope. He discovered that focusing on a bright potential future, contributing to others in small ways, or even appreciating fleeting moments of beauty like a sunset through barbed wire has empowered prisoners to preserve their inner hope despite dehumanizing conditions. Shifts can range from big to small. Small shifts are subtle. They happen when we change our emotional state, adjust our internal dialogue, or respond differently to something we would normally react to. For example, the times that I would sleep until noon, I would wake up and immediately judge myself. A small shift would be accepting the situation as it is and telling myself, hey, my body just needed some more rest. It's okay. Big shifts are drastic changes in belief, energy, or identity, which are often triggered by trauma, some kind of awakening, radical choice, or total surrender. For example, when I got let go from my last job, I completely surrendered in trying to find the next job, and now realigning my identity as someone who works for themselves. These shifts exist in the alternative space. Again, we're not creating them, we are shifting our consciousness into an alignment with them. However, I find shifting more effective when I first recognize where I'm actually at, emotionally, mentally, and materially. So if I'm in a rut, I try not to tell myself, oh, you can just shift to a better reality, Mel. Instead, I tell myself, you're allowed to feel overwhelmed. And inside of these big feelings, a small shift is possible and can open up a new path. What's happening here is that I am first accepting and validating where I'm at emotionally, mentally, and materially, while still looking forward to a possibility. Shifting doesn't skip emotional processing. I don't believe in bypassing our pain and mindset alone. There's a lot of value in feeling our feelings first and taking our time with them until they naturally pass. Everybody's got their own pace for this, so not all shifts are instant and easy. It's all about holding a new intention while staying present with our pain and current situation. Well, when we make a small shift when a big shift is needed, this typically shows up as being stuck in a loop. So if you're in a situation that vibrates at a very different frequency from your desired outcome, small shifts may not be enough to reach it. This happened to me when I got let go from a draining corporate job, only to make a small shift to land another draining corporate job. And vice versa, when we make a big shift when only a small shift is needed, this creates unnecessary turbulence and complications in our lives. Having this extreme kind of imbalance may push away the very thing we're trying to achieve. This happened when I impulsively locked in on a contract for a sketchy apartment out of state without doing any research, to where my husband and I got scammed by first not being given a free month as they promised, and second, the apartment being an absolute hole. Because of my hasteful, inconsiderate actions, this created a negative karma where we had a series of negative experiences, like feeling infected by some kind of dark energy during most nights. And my husband's health was getting severely compromised. My mental health was getting destroyed even more. And we overall felt so trapped in that place for a year. I've learned now to slow it down and not take action from a hasteful state and consider those who are getting involved, like my husband, because otherwise, there will always be a price to be paid in a long run. To sum it all up, here are 3 points to remember when it comes to alternative space. Every reality we can imagine already exists like channels on a radio. Our thoughts and emotions tune the dial where we get aligned with specific frequencies, aka life tracks. Reality reflects what we are aligned with, not what we desperately want. It's not about ignoring real challenges, pain, or trauma. Shifting realities involve gently working with our pain and darkness first, then realigning when we're ready. There is no pressure, no bypassing, just pure possibility. I want to end on that understanding alternative space is a way to navigate through reality. Even with its strengths, everyone experiences their own unique timeline when applying these principles. Some people naturally tune into their dream reality more quickly, while others have a much longer journey. Usually, this requires a little bit more patience as they gradually refine their energetic alignment. One must work through deeper layers of resistance before being able to witness significant external shifts. However, the idea remains the same. You are always shifting. The question is, are you doing it consciously? We're never completely powerless. Even in our darkest moments, there are glimmers of hope. And the moment we recognize another possibility exists, the field will begin to shift. We don't create reality with force. We shift into it with awareness. And if there's someone out there who can't do that for themselves right now, we can help by holding that reality for them. If you've made it this far, let's take a deep breath together. And always remember the magic that is within you. Till next time.